The cafeteria buzzed with laughter, chatter, and the clatter of trays as students lined up at the pizza counter, eager for a slice before the bell rang. Among them stood a new girl, quiet and unsure, her tray shaking slightly in her hands. She had just transferred to the school a week ago, and every day felt like a battle to simply blend in. Her eyes scanned the room nervously, searching for a safe corner to sit, but she already knew the feeling: no one was going to invite her to their table. That's when it happened. 3 boys, notorious for picking on anyone weaker, noticed her standing alone in line. They exchanged smirks, sensing an easy target. Without hesitation, they moved in, surrounding her by the counter. One boy shoved her shoulder lightly, pretending it was an accident. The second laughed and blocked her way forward, while the third reached over her tray and snatched a piece of pizza, biting into it with exaggerated mockery. The new girl froze, her stomach twisting as the rest of the cafeteria turned their eyes away, not wanting to get involved. The shoves grew harder. One of the boys nudged her so forcefully that her tray nearly tipped. The laughter of the 3 echoed in her ears, making her cheeks burn with humiliation. For a moment, she thought about running, like she always did, just shrinking into the shadows and swallowing the pain. But then something in her snapped. She had endured enough. New school or not, she was done being anyone's victim. Her hand curled into a fist, knuckles tightening. The boys were still laughing, still mocking, their confidence born from a lifetime of never being challenged. But this time was different. With all the strength she could summon, she turned, stepped forward, and delivered a punch southwest powerful. It landed square on the ringleader's jaw. The crack was followed by chaos. The boy stumbled backward into the pizza counter, crashing into his friends. Their trays and food went flying, and the momentum toppled the entire table behind them. Drinks spilled, pizza scattered, and the 3 bullies landed in a heap on the floor, stunned and humiliated. The cafeteria erupted in gasps, then cheers. No one had ever stood up to those boys before, certainly not someone as quiet and overlooked as the new girl. She stood frozen for a second, her chest heaving, her fist still clenched. The room seemed to blur, every face turned toward her. But instead of shame, she felt something new coursing through her veins: power. Not the kind that bullies used to dominate others, but the kind that came from finally saying, enough. The boys scrambled to their feet, their faces red with anger and embarrassment. For a moment, it looked like they might retaliate, but the sound of the cafeteria supervisor rushing in froze them in place. Students around the room, many who had once been victims themselves, stood up and shouted what had happened. The truth was out, everyone had seen the shoves, the mocking, the theft of her food. For once, the bullies had no shield. The punishment was swift. The 3 boys were suspended, and their parents were called. But the deeper punishment was the loss of their power. Their reputation as untouchable crumbled in one afternoon, all because of one punch they never saw coming. As for the new girl, her life changed that day. Students who had ignored her before now nodded in quiet respect. Some even approached her, offering friendship and admiration. She didn't suddenly become the most popular, but she no longer ate alone. She carried herself taller, shoulders back, her presence no longer invisible. She had earned something more valuable than popularity: respect. Her journey wasn't without challenges. Whispers followed her for weeks, some questioning if she had gone too far, others admiring her bravery. The boys' friends tried to intimidate her at first, but they quickly backed down when they realized she wouldn't flinch anymore. She had found her strength, and no one could take it from her. By the end of the semester, her story had become a quiet legend. Not just because she took down 3 bullies in one punch, but because she stood up when everyone else looked away. She proved that sometimes, all it takes is one act of courage to flip the balance of power. And for every student who sat in the cafeteria that day, those who had been bullied, those too afraid to speak, and even those who once laughed at the pain of others, her story planted a seed. A seed that whispered, you don't have to stay silent, you don't have to stay small, and even the smallest voice can bring down the loudest cruelty. The new girl never asked to be a hero. She just wanted to eat her lunch in peace. But the moment she chose to fight back, she became more than just another face in the crowd. She became a reminder that courage, once awakened, can topple even the strongest tables of power.